Over the last 20 to 25 years, the idea of returning to a simpler time, a more Renaissance era lifestyle, has been greatly romanticized and even to some extent fetishized, especially in the prepper survivalist circles. They would like everyone to believe that things were just better back then and life was simpler. Well, things were far more difficult back then, too. Hollywood doesn't really show that, which is where some of these ideas are born. If you would like some modern testament to this, the Patriot Nurse, some years back, did a video about this because she had an experience with a homestead. It is very hard work, and you need a group. You need a tribe. And even with a large group of people who know what they're doing and have no problem with hard work, it's still very, very difficult. She has a video at her YouTube channel. Want to buy a homestead? Watch this first. And she does a couple of videos talking about this. Now, many people are like, well, what are you saying, Florida Maki? Should we just continue in the modern world as we are? Well, it does have some benefits, but there's a secret going on right now that nobody is seeing. As the crypto markets begin to collapse and large governments around the world are starting to tighten their belts, things are changing quickly. So fast that people can't even keep up with it, not even with the internet. Some people believed it would be simple, nice, neat, clean. There would be one quick kaboom, everything would collapse all at once. The survivalists would all have their stuff together and everybody else would fail, and then you'd come out on the other side and rebuild society. It never has worked like that. It has never worked like that. We're going to do a deeper dive into a certain aspect of what happens when collapses like this go down, but we can only do it, of course, over at patreon.com. See, not all women want flowers. Some just want a 40-acre off-grid homestead with a flowing creek. And some have figured out how to get one. But of course, not here. We can't talk about the reality here in stark terms about what's really going on, the power shift that's happening. And where there's money, there's power. You see, that is what the New World was back in the Renaissance era. It was literally the Antarctica of its day. It was a 2-week trip by boat. It was largely unmapped. And if you could go here and you could make it here, you could become fantastically wealthy. I like using this angle for the camera to show folks what it looked like to Europeans. 2-week trip by boat, and then just this never-ending expanse of unexplored country, little islands, and beautiful weather. Flora and fauna everywhere, rivers full of fish, forests full of trees and game. Now, Antarctica is not quite like that these days, but it's coming. The melt is happening at an accelerated rate, and it takes me again back to this map that they made of South America. Now, at this time, and I've shown this map before, I'll give you the link to it again. Ink and parchment, especially ink with many different colors, was exceedingly rare and very, very difficult. So even if you had the proper amount of parchment and you had the tools, the brushes, and you had all of the ink, you wouldn't waste what you had creating images of things that weren't there. You would put on a map as much as you possibly could. And in the upper left of this map, it shows a giant fleeing a serpent. A serpent with wings and a long tail. And that's what leads us to today's video. You see, I found things like this in Antarctica. I haven't talked about it for a long time. One very specific one that I don't really know how anyone can explain. It takes more than just a passing glance at Google Earth Pro to find this. You've got to be able to zoom in. And on this very small speck of rock, there is what very clearly looks like to be some type of a coiled serpent. Now, this is a very large creature. In fact, let me use the tools function here and see if we can plot a path along its body to kind of give ourselves just a basic idea. Well, we're at 60 feet right there. So that'll give you an idea how big this is. This is what was reported on maps. And lo and behold, here in Antarctica, we find it. There was another site that showed what looks to be the skeleton of one of these creatures coming through the melting ice in Antarctica. And once again, you've got to zoom in to see it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You've got the head here, and then you have a long, ridged spine. Disturbing the snow right here. There's even one more. And I had to draw this outline to show everyone because it just never really showed up any other way. Now I'm going to tick off the outline real quick and zoom in. This spine is literally perfect. It shows the backbones in a way like you just can't see anywhere else. You see how perfectly equidistant these vertebrae are? That's not the ridge of a rock right here. This isn't some mountainside. I mean, it's on a mountainside, but there's something laying over it. Now, here's the head. And this one has wings that have clearly disturbed where it's laying. Now, let me put the overlay again. Here's the head. You can even see the jaws right here. The backbone. Here's where the wings would have been when it landed. The rest of the spine. And even the tail. Why would they put things on maps that weren't there if this wasn't real? And one more final location. This is kind of a new area that I hadn't really looked into. There's some new imagery for 2022. And I'm telling you guys, as this ice melts, different things are coming to the surface. Different things are being revealed. Now, in this area, you can almost see what looks like little life forms. You have to zoom in very close, but they're there. Almost went to ground level there. Whatever this is, it's not evidence of wind blowing over snow that's against rocks that's really cold and penguins and seals. It's just not the case. Things are beginning to show, and they're not going to be able to hide this for very much longer. They're truly not going to be able to do this. Here's even a better example. What is this black mark? Right here. That's not shadow. And when you look closely, you can almost see something else coming through the ice here. If you have a big enough computer screen and you zoom in close enough, you will find all sorts of stuff all over Antarctica. If they had had the technology at the time, I'm sure they would have done so in North America, even though many people back in the Renaissance era came back and reported, oh, North America, it's impassable. They said that about Florida. There were Spanish explorers that came to Florida and said, oh, it's unsettleable. It's just all mangroves and it's swamp and there's these huge creatures with giant teeth and armored scales and you just can't live there. Which is what they're saying about Antarctica now. But what do we know? What do we know? See, that's the crazy part about it. A castle can only protect you from so much. A winged flying serpent? Perhaps not. And perhaps that was the end. Maybe that's why people left. The climate there got much colder. Snow fell for over a longer period of time. Once the wind patterns changed, when that island, that strip of land between South America and Antarctica finally broke through, and it was time to just leave. And that's why all of those people and who were probably prey for serpents this size, they followed the prey. And this is what you would see. This is why they would have a map that would show craziness like Tudor-style housing and castles with parapets in Brazil in the 1600s. So, anyway, I will leave it there, but sometimes people just have to pick up and leave and move on for a lot of different reasons. That may be coming for us. But things are changing, but definitely check out the Patreoners, especially her older stuff. The stuff that she did 3 and 5 and 7 years ago on YouTube. The stuff they've left alone. It's really very, very instructive. So, anyway, I will leave it there, but we definitely have a video coming on Patreon. I think it's going to wake a lot of people up. It's going to wake a lot of people up about the reality of the next 5 to 10 years. And I'll just leave it there. $1. That's all. $1 per month. Less than that if you sign up for a whole year. I think it's a one-time annual charge of like $10 and some odd change. It's just not very much at all. So anyway, God bless. Have a great night. Those of you who join us at Twitch in the evenings, my apologies once again for last night. I truly believe now they are done with all of the work around here that they were doing on the lines that kept interrupting the stream over and over and over again. So 100% sure I will be with you, Lord willing, tonight around 10:30. Anybody who has any questions, feel free to show up and ask within reason, non-personal questions about whatever you like. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.